They call him the grandfather of fiscal responsibility. I call him the founder of political honesty. He's been inspiring to me personally as a businessman who decided the best way to protect and defend the future of my children and of your children is to fight for our country back so we can hand them a country with a strong balance sheet, not one that today is caused by the bad behavior in Washington, D.C. So it's with great honor and great privilege that I first introduced Emmanuel Completo, who's the head of Youth for Ron Paul here in Rhode Island. And I promise you that Emmanuel, who by the way is running as a delegate, I promise you he will bring Ron Paul to this stage to get you fired up. Thank you very much.
Over the past 12 months, I've made a multitude of discoveries which have led to my standing here tonight. I discovered that only one presidential candidate has a message which does not contradict his political record or his personal life. I discovered that only one presidential candidate has any true respect for civil liberties, human freedom, or human life. I discovered that only one presidential candidate has demanded accountability from the Federal Reserve, which has destroyed our currency. It has wreaked havoc on our economy while pointing the finger of blame at everyone except for itself. I discovered that only one presidential candidate has been brave enough to confront the special interests which profit by sending our families and our friends into war, and only that candidate can be trusted to bring our troops home. Today, as multitudes of young people like me and millions of others make these same discoveries, media outlets are declaring this presidential candidate's race to be finished. But the fact is that this campaign, this revolution, is about to make history. Just in the past 5 days, we've discovered that this candidate, who supposedly is out of the race, won a majority of the state delegates from Colorado. He won more delegates than the supposed frontrunner in Minnesota, and he will win a plurality of delegates in many more states in the months to come as the real results are determined at the state conventions. We will bring hundreds of delegates to the August convention with full intention to make him the Republican nominee. I've chosen to stand with him, and after tonight, I hope that every single one of you will too, by casting your vote for him in the Rhode Island Republican presidential primary on April 24th. So without further ado, please rise to your feet and give a roaring Rhode Island welcome to 12th-term Congressman and our next president, Dr. Ron Paul.
Barry, for coming and getting this rolling. This is just wonderful, and your reception is just grand. Thank you very much. Before I get started, I want to introduce a couple very important people that came with me. My wife, Carol, is over here. One granddaughter with us. She's a senior at Texas A&M, and she's standing over here. But it certainly sounds like the revolution is alive and well. I imagine you're just so surprised when the media says we've disappeared. Not only going to hear from us tonight, they're going to hear from us for a long time to come. A revolution is not a one-day occurrence. A revolution takes time, and it will last a long time, and it will change a country, and that is what we're getting ready to do. They claim a revolution isn't ever shown on TV, and I can imagine that. But many who are involved are in denial, or they don't understand what's going on. But believe me, the ideas are important. This campaign is very important because it's driven by ideas, and to prove the ideas are correct and popular, the best way to do that is to win an election. Quite well, and the process is proceeding, and we're going to do well here in Rhode Island, right? It's wonderful because, you know, the message that we have is not brand new, it's not strange, it's not complicated. It's based on a lot of good common sense as far as I'm concerned. If you want to summarize it, it merely means that we want to restore liberty to America. America one time was known for its liberty, but in the last 100 years we've drifted a long way, and now we're suffering the consequences. Even though many recognize this, even back in the progressive era with the Woodrow Wilsons and the other, and you know, 1913, a bad year, 16th Amendment. And then the Federal Reserve Act. but we lived along for a long time because we were so wealthy and we had so many natural resources that we didn't kill the golden goose overnight. But I tell you what, the golden goose is on its last legs right now unless we do something about it. And that's why I think we're getting the enthusiasm, because there is something we can do about it. And it's not something brand new. How about just sending only people to Washington who read the Constitution and obey the Constitution? What would happen on the war issue? You mean we couldn't go to war without a declaration? There wouldn't have been a war since World War II. Oh, how tragic that would be if we couldn't have this war. No more wars without a declaration to get our troops on home. There was a time where they used to paint the label that if you didn't vote for the wars and all the expenditures, you didn't like the troops, you were un-American, you were unpatriotic. But guess what? If that's true, why do we get the most support from the troops? And very simply, we need to follow Article 1, Section 8, dealing with war. You don't go to war unless the people have it declared through their representatives in government, and we deny the authority to the president to go to war on his own. But what about the arrogance of a president that will come down, or the Secretary of Defense, and say, oh, we don't need to go to the Congress to get our marching orders. We can go to the... They claim they can go to the United Nations. Well, I'd like the United Nations to lead and deal with it. This week, there was a little bit of foreign policy going on. Our president was down in Colombia, in South America. You know, I didn't know exactly what was going on, but you know I declined to have the Secret Service protect me. I very rarely comment on immediate diplomatic efforts around the world with our president, but you know, it's irresistible because our president went down there to represent us. And the first issue that came up is, Mr. President of the United States, could we have a discussion and maybe a more open dialogue with Cuba? Isn't the Cold War over? The president said, no way, we can't do that. We got to be tough on the Cubans. I say, let's trade with Cuba, let's go to Cuba, let's travel to Cuba. Why don't then, that would undermine that system. When you trade and talk to people and travel, that is what undermines their government, not sanctions. There are now many people in Central America, in Mexico, in South America, as well as in this country, that are come around to a very different position on the drug war. So this subject came out with the position of the other government, said that maybe we ought to discuss it, maybe we ought to change these drug laws. Yes, I think we should discuss it. I think we should come to the same conclusion that we did after we tried prohibition of alcohol when it failed to repeal prohibition of drugs. The drug issue is a very important issue. Drugs are very dangerous. But what isn't dangerous? Driving cars is dangerous, and there's all kinds of things. But who's responsible to protect you against danger? You're supposed to be the one. Deep fallacy if you believe the government can protect us against ourselves. That is giving up all your liberty. The government owns you if they think they can protect you against all your own personal actions. Drugs or fire across the street, children are taught by the parents. The parents are the best teachers. To assume that all this is to be done by the nanny state from the federal government writing regulations is a fallacy. All they do is write a lot of laws, cause a lot of mischief, spend a lot of money, and bureaucrats make all the money, and then they arrest people for doing things that has harmed nobody whatsoever. In the world, we have 25% of the prisoners. Many of them, some estimate well over half, are non-violent prisoners. So I would say that the American people aren't bad people compared to the rest of the world. I would say we have too many laws is the problem. This very year, on January 1st, there were 40,000 new laws passed on January 1st. What I would like to suggest to you, as president, I would like to be the first president ever to repeal 40,000 laws. Of course, on some occasions we have to get the permission of the Congress, but those laws that were passed by executive order are all illegal. I don't believe believe in legislating through the executive order, but I do believe if they're illegal executive order, a president can repeal those executive